All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to today's State Department webinar. We're going to be discussing the new Exchange Alumni Citizen Diplomacy Challenge, and we're really happy that all of you could join us. We're very excited about this new initiative, which we really hope is going to help us spread the word about what incredible work our programs are doing and the impact that they're having around the world, but particularly here in the U.S. So my name is Megan Huber. I'm the Regional Alumni Coordinator for U.S.-based alumni with the ECA Alumni Affairs Division, and I'll be guiding you through today's webinar. Before we get started, I just want to discuss a couple of logistical matters. First, please ensure that your speakers are turned on and that the volume is turned up. If you can hear me, that's probably a good indication that you're on the right track. And then, although you are prompted to start your webcam at the beginning of when you entered the room, please make sure that you do not activate your camera. If you run into any connection issues during the webinar, first try restarting your browser. And if that doesn't work, try using a different browser. Sometimes it works better in some versus others. Also, you may want to try closing other programs running on your computer since this can slow things down. The webinar will be recorded, so that will be made available to you in about 2 weeks on the ECA website, and I will send that link out to you. I will also be sending the presentation that we used today, and that should arrive in your inboxes no later than Friday, so you can feel free to review and pass along to any colleagues who might be interested. And lastly, the first half of this webinar will consist of, a presentation. And that will be followed by a Q&A session. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please type them into the chat box. There should be an icon to show that over on the right. And you can type your questions and we will address them at the end of the presentation. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. So to our presentation. See. Sorry, everyone. Why is the slides moving? Okay. Okay, so for those of you who might not be as familiar with our office, I wanted to start with just a very brief introduction about what we do here in the Alumni Affairs Division. We were an office that was created about 10 years ago with the mission of engaging and supporting the more than 1 million alumni of U.S. government-sponsored exchange programs. We try to provide alumni with the networks and the tools and resources that they need to extend the impact of their exchanges. As well as to apply the knowledge and skills they gained abroad to make a positive impact in their communities. So we achieve this in a number of ways. We work with U.S. missions abroad, as well as program offices here in ECA to help craft strategic alumni outreach plans and also help them to leverage their alumni communities to achieve individual mission and foreign policy goals. We do this through providing training and technical assistance. We act as a repository of best practices. We maintain a comprehensive alumni database and act as a clearinghouse for alumni success stories, which we can use to demonstrate the lasting impacts and importance of our exchange programs around the world. We also offer a few at-post funding opportunities, which support public diplomacy projects that address issues of mutual concern. Such as promoting girls' education, access to services for underserved communities, etc. In addition to our work with post and program offices, we also support alumni virtually through the International Exchange Alumni website, which you'll see there, alumni.state.gov. Hopefully most of you are familiar with it, but this is a global network of more than 140,000 members. It's exclusive to alumni, and they can access educational and professional resources, search grant opportunities, collaborate on projects, share success stories, a lot of great things through the website that we offer to alumni. And finally, we provide support for alumni associations or other alumni groups. So basically, we're here to support alumni and our missions by providing networks and the tools that help them to extend the impact of their exchange programs so that it doesn't just end as soon as they get on the plane to go home. And I want to talk briefly about the alumni network in the United States, primarily because it's a bit different from our alumni networks abroad, and also because this will be the primary audience for the U.S. Exchange Alumni Citizen Diplomacy Challenge. You may be aware that ECA sends approximately 15,000 Americans abroad every year on a wide range of programs, ranging from academic programs to youth to cultural programs, and you can see just a few shown on the presentation. There was not enough room to fit all of them because we have so many great programs. Many people are familiar with Fulbright. They might know of Gilman. We have our language exchanges, NISLE Y, CLS. We have some incredible teacher exchange programs, English language programs. We have a great network of cultural programs, everything from music to artists and everything in between, sports programs, and of course our wonderful youth exchanges. So we really have an incredible U.S. alumni network. And even though they span different generations, they have different fields of interests, but they all have incredible stories to tell about how their ECA exchanges have impacted them and the people they met in their host countries, the community back home, professionally and personally. And the idea of the Exchange Diplomacy Challenge that we want is to have them share those stories so that everyone else knows about these impacts that our programs are having. They are one of our greatest assets in breaking down stereotypes and spreading cultural awareness in their communities, and we want to make sure that they have the tools and the platform in order to do that. So that's basically the goal in a nutshell of the Citizen Diplomacy Challenge, which is helping them tell the impact stories, spread the word about how important our international exchanges are, and how they are helping to enhance cultural understanding in our communities back home. So with that, we have our new initiative, the Citizen Diplomacy Challenge. And I just want to give a little bit of background on where this idea came from. The original idea for some kind of campaign that showcased the impact of our exchange program was developed over a year ago, and we worked hard with a lot of different program offices and implementers here in the Bureau to gather input. And we tried to make sure that the campaign is not limited to one program or one group. We really want to make sure that it can apply across the Bureau to show how every single one of our programs is having an impact, whether it's from our English teaching programs to youth and everything in between. So we also convened an alumni focus group so we could get their input on how we can best reach our American audience. And we structured the campaign based on some of the input that they provided. So the ultimate idea was to develop something that would provide alumni from across all of our programs with tools and the platform to share their exchange impact stories, and by doing so, enhance Americans' understanding of the world, as well as promote the importance of these international exchange programs that we run. So to go in a little bit more detail about the goals of the campaign, you can see that we were hoping to provide both a platform and tools. So we provide the platform and the encouragement for U.S. alumni to share their exchange impact stories and also to act as citizen diplomats in their own communities. And we also wanted to provide them with those resources which help them to effectively communicate the impact of those exchanges. So those tools help to support certain objectives which enhance a wider domestic audience's understanding of the importance of international exchange and also promote our exchange programs to a larger audience. So all of these lead to our ultimate goal of the campaign, which of course is spreading international awareness and cultural understanding in U.S. communities, which is consistent with ECA's mission under the Fulbright-Hays Act of increasing mutual understanding between people of the United States and people of other countries. So ultimately, the challenge aims to underscore the long-term impacts that educational and cultural exchanges are having in increasing mutual understanding by encouraging alumni to participate in activities both virtually as well as in person, which share the impact of those exchanges and spread that international awareness within their own domestic communities. So, to describe the basic structure, it will launch on March 17th and run through June 9th, 2015. So hopefully this will give our alumni plenty of time to plan and complete really meaningful activities. The way it works is basically that alumni will find their favorite ways to share their exchange impact stories or promote international awareness in their communities, and that can come in a number of different forms. And we will provide some options for them, and then they can also develop their own activities. But once they complete activities, they earn a select number of points for each activity completed. And then at the end of the challenge, the alumni who earn the most points will be eligible for points. So that's the basic description, and we'll go through a little bit one by one what each of these components will consist of. And the competition itself will be available through the International Exchange Alumni website, which I mentioned earlier. So alumni will have to be registered for that site in order to see this information, as well as to participate and submit forms. But this here is the landing page, so you can get a sense of what it looks like. And if you see there on the right, we have a great menu that alumni can easily follow to find different aspects of the challenge, so they can log their points, and we'll talk about that in a minute. A list of the activities that they can participate in. We have the list of prizes, as well as the tools and resources and commonly asked questions. So as we noted, the alumni can complete a number of different activities to earn points towards the challenge. All of the activities were designed to help them share their exchange stories, as well as to encourage them to act as citizen diplomats within their own communities. So I only included a few here, just a few brief examples, but it's everything from sharing their stories virtually through either pictures or videos or anecdotes on social media to once again spread that word to those in their community. As well as everything from hosting foreign exchange participants to publishing articles. And all of these activities are meant to just talk about how wonderful all of our programs are. So we tried to address various office and bureau goals through the activities that we chose, and these will all be available on the website for you to look at as soon as that's up and running. But for example, by asking students to give presentations to perhaps their local high school or their universities, we can help promote our programs to an even wider audience, and we might get even more applications because of that. And also just informing more students about the different programs that are available to them. We have, for example, an activity which encourages alumni to reach out to their local diplomat in residence to participate in a recruiting event or information session. We also have notes that encourage them to reach out to either Global Ties or other international organizations to meet with current foreign participants. So for many of you that also host international exchange programs as well, this might be a good opportunity for you to encourage your U.S. participants to meet with some of the foreign participants and enrich their own experience as well. So we also leave it open to alumni. This is sort of a suggested list. We also leave it up to them to develop their own activities that spread international cultural awareness or promote the exchange program that they participated in. So for example, for our teachers, they may decide that they want to host a geography bee or paint a map mural or something of the type in their schools. Or musicians might choose to hold a cultural awareness concert of some sort, or explore world music with a local community group. Sports stars may decide that they want to hold a sports clinic and talk about what sports are like in other countries. So it's really, the possibilities are endless, and we just want to encourage them to use their own unique skills and interest to share what they learned on their exchange program. So those are the points. Now, in order for us to know that they actually completed the activity that they said they did, and to verify and give them the points. We have created a proof of activities form, very simple. Basically, alumni just need to select the activity that they participated in and then provide a proof of activities. So the proofs themselves are very simple. Most of the time it just involves maybe submitting a link to a photo from the event that they participated in, or a link to the tweet or the photo. So most of the time they're very simple to complete. It's just our way of verifying that they participated in the activity. And alumni can submit this form as many times as necessary to log all of their eligible activities. So they can submit the form individually for one particular activity, or if they want, they can submit multiple activities within one submission. It's totally up to the alum, and then we will just compile all of the points at the end of the competition. So it's pretty simple, we hope, but certainly let us know if you think anything looks confusing. And I'm sorry you can't really see that very well, but basically it's just a list of the activities that they can check. So one of the main points of the campaign that we wanted to provide were specific tools and resources that helped our alumni effectively communicate the impact of their exchanges in their own communities. And so we've created some resources that we thought might be helpful to the alumni. And again, these are applicable to any and all programs that we offer here in ECA. So for example, we provide a press guidance and press template that alumni can use if they're thinking about maybe writing an op-ed for a local or online publication. So it'll help them get a start on crafting their story. And then we also provide a storytelling guide, which basically just has some tips and ideas for alumni who might not really know where to begin, or they're just looking for more creative ways to tell their story. We have sample presentation templates. So we collected these from most program offices, and we also have some general ones. So we have some that are program specific. We have one for Gilman and Nistley Y, for example, and a couple from Fulbright. So alumni can either give a presentation using a template from a specific program, or we also have a general one that talks about all ECA programs. And that would include cultural programs and some of our other youth program. Basically, it covers every single program that we have. So alumni can download these. They can customize them however they like. But we just wanted to provide them with something that they can start with, and then hopefully that'll help them figure out how to tell their story, but also has correct information on it as well. So it's good for us. And then on top of that, we give a few handouts and one-pagers that alumni can pass out during presentations or at events. So just as an example, we provide a one-pager on hosting. So if they are at an event promoting international exchange, they can give this one-pager out, and maybe we'll have some more host families interested in contacting us. So those are the tools and resources, and again, this will be available for all of you to take a look at soon. In terms of prizes, we hopefully are offering some that alumni will be very interested in. So for the alumni who ultimately earn the most points, there will be 3 grand prize winners. These alumni will win a all-expenses-paid professional development trip to Washington, D.C. So they'll have the chance to share their exchange experience with senior State Department officials, and we'll customize that trip based on the alumni who win. So depending on their personal interests, we might change some things up, but it should be very catered to the particular alumni who win that competition. So it'll cover, again, the transportation, it'll cover accommodation per diem for the entire time that they're here. For the second place winners, they'll receive a congratulatory call or video message from either a high-level U.S. official or a prominent alumnus in their field. So depending, again, on who ends up winning the competition, if they are particularly interested in sports, for example, we might have Michelle Kwan give them a call. Or if they're interested in politics, we might find a congressman who was an alum, something like that. And then third place winners, 3 third place winners will receive gift bags, which will contain State Department and ECA program materials. So these will also be, depending again on who the winners are, we'll make sure it has some program-specific swag as well as general ECA and State Department materials in there. So your program, we may reach out to you for specific swag if your program has it, and if they don't, that's not a problem either. But you will be able to provide input on any of these prizes. And then all of the participants who take part in the challenge, whether they do one activity or 10, will receive a certificate from us, as well as the opportunity to have any photos or stories or activities that they have shared with us featured on our websites, our social media, and promotional materials. And all of the winners as well will have a special feature on the website, so we'll help promote all of the good work that they've done to promote their programs. So we also wanted to provide a commonly asked questions page. So here we address a lot of things that might come up. I thought I would just pull out a couple that some of you might have been thinking as you have been watching the presentation. So for example, who's eligible to participate in this challenge? It's only open to U.S. citizens, so no foreign alumni can participate in this. The main point is to make sure that we're reaching our domestic public and having our American exchange alumni tell their stories within their own communities. So that's why it's only open to U.S. exchange alumni. And they have to be living in the United States at the time that the challenge completes. So they can start a program now and still participate as long as they are back from their program on June 9th when the program is over. All contestants must be 18 as well, so some of our youngest youth participants may not be eligible, although I think most of them, the vast majority, probably should be. You may be wondering if some of our, our alumni obviously are very internationally minded, and some might be living abroad. So those alumni who are U.S. citizens but living abroad are welcome to participate, and we hope that they are spreading the word about their exchange. They just won't necessarily be eligible for prizes if they don't live in the United States at the conclusion of the challenge, but they are welcome to participate in the activities. So another question that you might be thinking and that we have included in the commonly asked questions is whether alumni can earn points for the same activity within a category. So as an example, if an alumnus gives 2 presentations at 2 separate times to 2 separate schools, will they receive points for both of those? The answer to that is yes. The activities just have to take place at different times in different audiences. The only limits to any activities are the ones involving posting photos and tweeting. We've capped that at 3 photos to post for points and 5 tweets, just because otherwise people could kind of abuse that one. But everything else they can participate in as many times as they like, and we hope that they do. Another reminder that we have in this section is that all activities must take place within the time frame of the competition. So an alum who did a fantastic event last year, that's great, and we'd certainly like to hear about it, but that won't count towards points in this particular competition. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get to them, but I just wanted to make note of those and just let you know that there is a CAQ part of the website. So now, in terms of social media and promotion, you can see our competition hashtags that are available. So we'll be using the hashtag Citizen Diplomacy and Exchange Alumni, and those are the hashtags that we're also encouraging the alumni themselves to use so that we can track them. We will be sending a social media toolkit to everyone, so you can see that and use that to promote the campaign on your own platforms. Alumni are also invited in almost all of the activities to share their own experiences on social media. So we'll be looking for this content and crowdsourcing it on our own platforms as a way to publicize the challenge, and we encourage you to do the same. Part of this is about making sure the widest audience sees all of the wonderful things our alumni are doing and what impacts these exchanges are having. So as much as possible, we encourage our alumni to post their experiences and their photos publicly. And And then we are debuting our new Exchange Alumni Twitter account, so please feel free to follow us and join the conversation there. And we also have an ECA video, which we will be sending as well to help publicize the challenge. So, in terms of spreading the word, we really hope that you can help us promote this as widely as possible. It's a great opportunity for all of us to engage with our network of alumni and get the word out about how incredible each and every one of our exchange programs are. So we know that we do not capture every single alum on our platforms, but some of you might have individual program newsletters or Facebook groups or other social media properties that your alumni might go to for information and ways to connect. So we'll, again, be sending out that social media toolkit, and hopefully you can promote the campaign within your own networks. Another idea is to leverage your alumni representatives or ambassadors to help organize events or promote the challenge. I know a lot of them are sort of responsible for doing a lot of these things anyway as part of their official work. But they might be able to help as well, and they are eligible to submit their activities for the competition, just as a FYI. So in the end, we hope that we will be inspiring some healthy competition among our alumni, and we really want to make sure that every single one of our programs is being widely promoted. We want to make sure that people in the US know that we do have these incredible music programs, for example, or our teacher programs, those who are educating our own youth about global education. So definitely be willing to promote any way you can. So I think that is it for my portion. I want to make sure I leave plenty of time for question and answer. We will get started with that. And remember that you can continue to post in the chat box, and if you have any questions, and we'll address them now. Okay, so one question from American Councils: what if alumni work together for an event? Are they both eligible to submit for points? So yes, we encourage alumni to participate in groups. We encourage them to invite other alumni to their activities, but only individuals will be able to receive points. So organizations or groups cannot receive points, individuals can, but each alum can receive points individually. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, a question: if we engage program alumni in outreach activities, can they use that activity to count for points? I think it depends on what the activity is. If it's an activity where they are promoting their exchange or spreading international awareness in some way, then yes, absolutely, they can submit it for points if they participate. If it's just a networking activity or something to that effect, then probably not. So it just depends, but as long as it fits within that framework of spreading international awareness in their communities, then it can definitely count, even if it's officially sponsored by a program implementing partner or an office. Okay, so if someone comes up with a different way to share their exchange experience that is not on the list, can they get points? Yes, absolutely. So we do have sort of a catch-all other option that they can select, and they just have to briefly describe what the activity was, and then they are welcome to suggest how many points it's worth based on our list that we provide for other activities, but ultimately we will select how many points they receive based on how much work it took to put the activity together, or if how big of an audience it reaches. So for example, if it is a television interview that reaches a pretty large audience, and if they're talking about their exchange and crediting the State Department with it, then they would certainly get points, and probably quite a lot. Okay, will implementing partners and program offices be notified if one of their alumni wins a prize? Absolutely. We will definitely be sharing, I probably should have mentioned that earlier. We will be sharing any great stories we receive. We will be sharing how many points your program's alumni have been earning. All of that will be sent to you, and we'll certainly let you know if they win. But we will also be sending quarterly newsletters. So every 3 weeks or so, we'll be sending out blast newsletters, sort of giving everyone an idea of where different programs stand. So if Gilman is doing an incredible job, they will probably get a shout out in a newsletter. Or if Nestle Y has been promoting their program exceptionally well, we might give them a shout out, so you can sort of gauge how your alumni are doing. But part of this campaign is to make sure that those impact stories are coming to us so that we know about them, and we'll do our absolute best to make sure that all of the different programs and implementing partners receive information about their particular alumni. Okay, would presenting about their experience at a U.S. conference fall into the catch-all category? I think that would probably fall under the giving a presentation category. We do have one for that. That presentation, it was for schools or community groups. If it's a huge conference that reaches a lot more people, then it could fall under the catch-all, and it might receive more points for reaching a much larger audience. So each activity will be judged a bit on a case-by-case basis, and we'll be looking at every single one individually. So if it looks like it warrants more points, then we'll give it. Okay, another question, who will be keeping track of the participants' points? So we will be doing that internally. The points will be sent directly to us when the form is submitted, and then we'll be keeping track and we'll be adding them up for each alum. And then at the end, for the winning alumni, if there's a clear winner, then there's a clear winner. If there is a bit of a tie, then it will be a panel discussion between us and the program office that's involved, as well as PATH here, Public Affairs and or Public Affairs Communications. Okay. Another question, will you all be promoting this challenge to the TESOL International Convention this month in Toronto? I would imagine many alumni will be there from your teacher exchange programs like ours, the fellow and specialist programs. I wasn't aware of this convention, but it does sound like a great opportunity. So perhaps we'll get in touch and maybe we can discuss a way to do that, because that sounds like a great opportunity. So thank you. We'll make note. Okay, can grantees qualify for points for activities undertaken as part of an alumni grant administered by a co-op? So, activities undertaken. So I'm not sure I completely understand the question, but as long as it's an activity that the alum themselves is taking the initiative to participate in, and it's either talks about their exchange program or spreads international awareness in some way, then it would qualify. The only time something wouldn't qualify is if the alum is getting paid for it to do it. But as long as it's sort of voluntary and they're doing it on their own initiative to share their story, then it would qualify. So hopefully that answers your question, but let me know if it doesn't. Okay, can we highlight alumni winners in press releases, or will the State Department spotlight the campaign's results in a press release? So we are planning to have a press release. We'll have one at the launch of the competition, as well as announcing the winners. But you are also welcome to announce your own individual program winners in a press release as well. But we will be drafting one here as well. Is there a limit on how many times alumni can submit the same activity? So as mentioned before, as long as an activity is, even if it's the same falls into the same category, so if they do 2 presentations or they do 2 service projects or something to that effect, they can submit both and earn points for both as long as they are on different days, address different audiences, and are sort of separate activities. But they can do as many presentations as they want to earn points. We encourage them to do as many as possible. Same thing with welcoming foreign exchange participants. If they meet with 50 separate exchange participants, then they would earn points for every single one of those activities that they participated in. Okay, so are American alumni currently residing in another country still allowed to participate? And if the alum is in the U.S. now, but will be out of the country when it is time to collect prizes, can the alumnus participate? So American alumni who are living in another country, again, are more than welcome to submit activities, and we hope that they are promoting their exchange impact stories wherever they are. But they would not be eligible for the prizes. Those have to be given to alumni who are currently living in the United States. If they usually live in the United States but are out of the country when it comes time to collect prizes, they may not be eligible depending on what prize they win. So if they win a swag bag and we are able to send that to a U.S. address for them to collect, that would be fine. If they are eligible for the grand prize of coming to Washington, D.C., and they are abroad at the time that they are coming, then they may not be eligible. They have to be in the United States for us to actually send prizes. Okay, can presentations be conducted virtually, or would the alum only be eligible for points if a presentation took place in person? They can be conducted virtually as long as it's reaching another audience. That's fine. So if they're doing something by webinar like we are now, and they're presenting to a classroom or a community group or something like that virtually, that's entirely eligible. So that would be welcome. I think only if it's maybe a one-on-one thing it might not be eligible. But as long as it's a presentation that reaches a number of people, that would be eligible. Okay, can alumni submit activities and earn points for events that they completed last year? So unfortunately, no. We would still love to hear those stories about what they did, and we'd be happy to promote them. But in order to earn points, all activities must be completed within the time frame of the competition. So they must be done between March 17th and June 9th in order to be eligible. Okay, so Megan, you mentioned that an alum is being paid for an activity they would not qualify for the challenge. Can you explain what you mean by paid? Does this include alumni grants that the program may provide for an activity? For CLS, we provide alumni grants similar to AIF. So, okay, that helps me clarify. What I meant was if an alum is paid by CLS to be, I don't know if any programs pay their alumni representatives. If they paid them to give presentations, that would not count. If it's an alumni project that a program office is giving funds for, so for example, I know some of the Nestle Y alumni representatives might request small program funds to put on an activity, that would still be eligible. We just mean that if the alum themselves is being paid for their services, but not if the project is receiving funding. Okay, so I think we might have answered this one earlier too, but can an organization or group of alumni participate? So again, only individuals can earn points for the competition, but we do encourage alumni to work together and invite as many alumni as possible and collaborate. It just means that each of the alum would have to separately submit activities if they would like to be considered eligible and earn prizes. Okay, and I think this will be our last question for today. But should we feature this campaign on our social media platforms in correspondence with alumni? Do you have any target days for us to feature the campaign on social media? So we definitely hope that you will promote on social media, and we will be providing that social media toolkit, which I think will be very helpful for you all. Hopefully by this Friday you should receive it. Certainly on the launch of the competition on March 17th would be a great day to put it out there and promote widely. But we'll also, again, be sending some of those updates along the way or specific stories. So when you receive those might be good times to highlight as well. You know, if you're IIE and you have Gilman, a Gilman alum who you know did something great for the challenge, you might want to post that and say, if any other alumni are participating, here's the information, and you could go from there. But definitely for the, on March 17th, that will be a great day to promote. Okay, sorry, one more question. What if the alum has participated on multiple ECA exchange programs and they promote them in an activity? Does that count as one or multiple activities? So probably one. Again, it depends a little bit on the activity itself, but if they're giving, again, I keep going back to the presentation part, but if they're giving a presentation and they mention both programs within the same presentation, that counts as one activity because they gave one presentation. If they end up giving one presentation about one program and then separately give a different presentation about the other program, then that would be two activities. So it just depends more on the time and what is covered within that presentation or activity. Okay, and what if alumni are presenting their experience to the new class of students? Will that count as an activity? I assume this means new grantees as opposed to just general students. If it's students, then absolutely that would count. If they are talking to recently admitted new grantees, so if it's a Fulbright ETA and they're speaking to others who have just been accepted, again, I think as long as they're sort of promoting what they learned on their program and how that program impacted them, that might still qualify. In those situations, I would encourage them to submit it, and if it looks like it doesn't qualify, we will let them know individually. But for the most part, as long as they are talking about their experiences, sharing it with a wider audience that might not hear about it otherwise, then that would probably count. All right, so if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up. So again, there will be a recording of this webinar, and so I will send out the link to that in a couple weeks when it's ready. I will also be sending the presentation that I used in this webinar to each of you by Friday, along with the social media toolkit, so you can start promoting. But otherwise, we really appreciate that you all took the time to join us today. We're really excited about telling the world how awesome all of our alumni are and all of our programs here at ECA. So thanks again, and we look forward to working with you on this.